Hey TD Superheroes, I'm Alejandro Perez, your sidekick, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at how to create a tool to mirror blend shapes over to the other side. So right now, if we look at these and we assign them here, we can go to deform, blend shape, and then we can activate a blend shape for each one. Now let's delete history so we can recreate it. So if we were to, let's say, duplicate this, and then let's zero out this mesh, and we will go to modeling, mesh, mirror. Okay, that looks correct. And then let's put this here. So, did it mirror it? It's hard to tell with this one. Let me do the other one that's a little bit easier to see. Let's duplicate this, zero it out, and then mesh, mirror. Okay, it's doing both sides. This will actually, we'll see if it works. But we get both sides. Actually, this is not going to work, and you'll see right now. So if we take these, assign it to this, deform, blend mesh, you can see that it says no deformable objects selected, and that's because this has a different topology than this now because of the way it was mirrored. We can try this here, and let's do mesh, mirror. Okay, so now we got the opposite side. Let's do mesh separate. And now this breaks this part. We have to combine all of these again. Mesh combine. There we go. Let's just do this one. Edit mesh. Sorry, not edit mesh, but deform blend shape. Let's see if this works. You can see that it breaks it completely. All the points get jumbled up and the head shifts over this way. So kind of the traditional ways you would mirror topology and get things for the other side would not work in the way we would hope it would work here. So we have to think of other ways to achieve this. And that's what we're going to do with the script today. So let's take a look here at setting that up for us. So what we're going to do is, let me double check these really quick. That looks okay. Oh, because I separated. Let me just undo till before I did that. There we go. Okay, so we can select both of these. I just want to double check that the blend shapes work here. There we go. Okay, so that works. Let's just clear the history. So delete all by type history, and we'll take a look at what we're going to do. We're going to start off by creating a variable for the selection. It's a list of the selection. Okay, then let's print selection here just so that we can see it. So we're going to end up doing something like this, these two meshes followed by that mesh. And we get a list of each one of the items. They are in order based off of the selection. So we can make sure that the base mesh is going to always be last for what we're going to do. So if we wanted to get access to the last item in the list, we can search it by index -1. So if we do that again, we should get the base mesh, which we do. Okay. So what we want to do is duplicate cell -1. And then let's hold this as a variable. So we're going to say dupe obj is equal to this. Let's give us a little bit more space here and shift these so that we can see what's going on. And then let's give it a name. Name equals dupe obj, and we're going to put that in quotes so that's a string. So we get a duplicated object here. And let's shift that. It's just of the base mesh. It's at a neutral pose. And that's what we're going to be building our mirrored shape with or from. Okay, so now that we have that, let's do a for loop. So we're going to say for item in cell, for each item in cell, and just to make sure it's working, we will say print item, which should give us each item in the list from cell. So let's take a look at this, run this, and we can see it goes through the whole list and prints it out over here. So we need to make a copy of each item except for the base shape. So we want to make mirrored shapes of each one of these, but not the base shape that is selected. So we'll say if item is equal to cell -1, which we defined as our selection process of how this tool will work. Select these two and then the base mesh. So the last item selected. So if it's equal to the last item selected, what are we going to do? We're going to just pass, and then else we will, for right now, print item. But this is where we will have each one of the blend shapes created. So we can see that we have each one of these created here, but we don't have the base mesh. So we know that what we got is working. Then this duplicated object here, let's move this into this position. And then we can create a UI for this at some point, but just to keep it easy, I know that I'm switching over left to right. We could also do it as a condition, so an if statement. But what I'm going to do is create a new name for the duplicated object. Actually, we'll call this new obj name. And then this is going to be new obj, because this is the new blend shape that we're creating, or new blend. That makes more sense. So new blend name is equal to item dot replace, and then we're going to replace underscore L with, and we're running out of space again, underscore right, and that has to be a string as well. And there we go. And then over here, this is going to be new name, or new blend, blend name. And then just for good measure, let's print new blend name. Okay. So if we run this here, it didn't do anything because there was nothing for the selection. Let's actually select things and run it again. So we have two new geometries. They are not the blend shapes yet, but they will be, and they are named correctly. And then just for ease right now, since I have all of these on the left side of the character, screen right, but the left side of the character, 20 units apart, let's create a count is equal to 1. And then in here, we'll move that object. And actually, let's, at this stage, print new blend just to see what we got there. Again, we need to select everything. There we go. And we need to clear that. Maybe for ease, I'll add the selection at the top. Okay, so it is what we need. It's just within a list. I want to keep that way in case we accidentally do this again. Base body. And run this. You'll see that we get a 1, even though we renamed it exactly what we wanted it. There's 2 of them, so it's going to add a 1 at the end. But if we use this item here, we will be always able to get the correct item rather than using the blend name. Okay, so let's clear this. And then let's remove this print for right now. And then we'll say new blend is equal to new blend at index level 0. Okay, now that we have that, let us move them into the correct place. So what we're going to say is mc.set adder new blend plus dot tx, and that has to be a string, is going to be equal to count times 20. And you can use whatever positioning works for you. Obviously, we probably wouldn't want them all in a super long straight line, but if you needed a grid or anything like that, you can do that depending on how many blend shapes you have. Or you can keep them all in the origin. I'm just doing this for ease of seeing what we are doing in the project here. And then we just need to do count equals, or let's do plus equals 1. I did that backwards. Plus equals 1. Okay, so we'll select both of these meshes, select this one. We have each one of those. They pushed it over there. I did a positive 20, so it should actually be negative 20. Let's try this again. Select these 2 items, base mesh, run this, and now we have them over on the other side. They're exactly the same as the base shape at this point, but we're going to implement the tool here to be able to mirror the shape. So we don't want to move this yet, but we are going to set it up here. So we want to set it up before we move it. I just want to edit that before we go further in order to see what's going on when we set up the objects. And I might need to comment this out for some time, but it will kind of show us what's going on. So what I want to do now is create a blend shape from the item to the base mesh. So what we're going to do is say mc.blend shape. And then let's double check on the command documentation for the blend shape here. I want to look at, so they create an empty blend shape. Here we can see that we create a blend shape based off of those objects. That's cool. Okay, that's what I want. So it's going to be item, comma, cell, -1. So we're creating a blend shape with whatever the current item is and the blend shape itself, or the base shape. So we need to run it this way. And if we select the base mesh, I did it twice, but the second one is where we have it. We can see the frown is here. And if we change it, it's basically going to be the name of the blend shape, then the name of the item, and then the value. And that's a set adder. So we can do that. Let's set this to 0 before I delete the history. So that way we don't mess up our base shape. Edit, delete all by type history. And we're back at a neutral shape. Okay, so what we want to do is mc dot set adder. Oh, and we need to set a name for this. So let's call this name equals temp blend. So that way we can access it. Set adder temp blend plus dot plus item. So we're just concatenating the list. We need the blend name. So that's the blend shape name there. We need a dot, and then we need the item name. And then we're going to set a value for what we want that attribute to be set to. Okay, 1, 2, 3, run. And here we can see that we got that blend shape. The second one is duplicated from the first one because we didn't ever change it back, but we can see that we're getting that object where we need it to be. Actually, that's the original object. Did we get an error? Line 13, no object matches. Oh, because we... Oh, interesting. Oh, because it created temp blend 1. So we need to delete it. That's why temp blend 1 does have it. You can see it runs it there. It's just that we need to delete that blend shape and then create another one. So let's go back to the neutral pose and delete both of these and edit, delete by type, all by type history. There we go. Okay, so in between here, we are going to create a wrap deformer and modify the object, but we also want to end up setting this whole item here again, but back to 0. So we're going to reset the blend shape, and then we're going to say mc dot set adder, or sorry, not set adder, delete. And then we're going to say the object, which is going to be cell index level -1, channel history equals true, or construction history, sorry. Cool, so that's going to delete the history, allow us to get rid of this blend shape, so that way when we come around the second time, it will create it as well. We're not going to see the actual blend shape being assigned here because we're setting it back to 0, but it's going to be happening. Let's run this with the selection. There we go. So it all looks neutral. Both of these are neutral, but we can see that we are changing it in between. And then this is where we're going to be creating the blend shape in here. Let's double check that at this state we have the history cleared from that object. We do. So now here we can start looking at creating our changes to the mesh to be able to define it as the opposite side. So mc.set adder item, not item, sorry. This is going to be the new blend shape that we've created. So the new blend plus .tx, sorry, not translate, but scale x -1. And basically we're going to keep that like that all the way until we move it back. Actually, we're going to do it slightly different. So we will keep it this way. It's going to be kind of inverted version of what we're going to be having. So we're basically just making a mirrored object. This is a completely symmetrical object here. So that is why this is going to be working, and really how we're going to be creating the mirrored blend shape, because everything is symmetrical. Okay, so we have this, and I guess this will work with an asymmetrical model as well. It just might be a little wonky. Depending on the model, it may or may not work to the level that you need it to. Okay, so let's take this and mc.create wrap, and let's go here and we'll say mc.select, and we're going to need to select NewBlend and the selection is -1. And we will see if this works here by what happens. Let's see what happens. I'm not actually sure what it's going to look like at this stage. Okay, so we have these items here. So if we change this here, will it affect those? No. And if we change this here, will it affect the other way? No. Oh, because we deleted the construction history. Let's break our code for a minute and let's double check that there's no history here. There is not, which means that I did it backwards. So I want to do the selection and then the blend shape, and then let's comment out this moving for right now. That did nothing because we only have one item selected. Let's make the proper selection. See, it's going through the process, and now let's in the, oh, I thought I commented it out, but let's see, we should have, oh, it's not going to keep the history because we deleted the history on this object. So yeah, because it needs to keep it for both, and I need to figure out how it's working. So let's comment out the delete history and let's comment out the movement. It's going to break the code, but I want to double check that we have the selection in the correct order for the wrap to work. Okay, we can see it ran that error. Let's check this. We can see we have the blend shape and the wrap. Let's go to the base mesh here and make a change. So select some faces, move it out, and let's look at it in wireframe to see if it affected the mesh underneath. So I needed to check for the smile, and it did not. So that means the order of the selection, I had it right the first time. Let's go here, move that, comma, and put that back in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, run this code. Again, it's going to break. We have this. What I want to see is if we adjust the base body, if it moves the geometry underneath, we can see that another geometry is moving. Let's go back to shaded view, and we can see this a little bit easier if we hide the visibility of the base mesh. And we can see that that other geometry is there. The frown is what's not working, but the smile is being deformed. So let's undo this so that we can get back to a working model. There we go. And let's edit, delete all by type history. Okay, so the wrap deformer is working. And actually, we need to create this wrap here before we change the blend shape value. Let's bring this back in. Okay, and then here, let's create, actually, let's comment all of this for a moment. There you go. Okay, so here with the smile, that should be moving with it, and it is not. And then let's check. I have that on there. It's selecting the wrong item. Let's just do this from here to that, and then let's get rid of the frown. Oh yeah, it's doing it backwards. I think I right-clicked over here and I was looking at the wrong thing. So that's an easy fix. Let's get rid of these. Put the blend shape back to 0. Yeah, that's duplicated from the other object. That's why that looks like that. Okay. And then edit, delete all by type history, and reverse this one more time. I'm so sorry. Okay. Paste it there, comma. Now let's do this. Run the code. Again, the frown's going to cause an issue. Let's see this right smile. Okay, so we can see when I'm moving the right smile, it's moving that. I just need to find out the order for this. I guess the movement would be easy to figure out. Oh, and the blend shape is not being created. So, or it's being created but not modified. There we go. Okay, let's try this one more time. We changed the order of these, and then we added the scale to be -1 on this new object. Where do, oh, we are changing the blend shape. Where are we changing the blend shape? Here. So this needs to be created before, and that's why we're not seeing it, before we adjust the blend shape. That is why we were not seeing it. Okay, I moved it before we flipped it, and we do need to flip it before the blend shape as well. So let's take this, cut it, and put it here. So we're flipping the mesh. Then we should do that before we wrap it. There we go. So we do it before we wrap it, we flip it, then we wrap it, and then we implement the blend shape. And again, actually, let's do it with just one selection so that way we don't cause an error. There we go. So if we were to duplicate this object and move it over, we see that we have the correct object with the correct facial construction right here. Okay, let's put this back to 0. And let's delete the history. Okay, so let's bring this back in, and we will see what is happening now. So in theory, we should get the blend shape created right now. There is one issue, and it is the wrap deformer and the geometry that we are working with. But let's see what goes on with everything that we have right now. So we get it over here, and we can see that we have neutral faces. And we saw just a moment ago that it does create the blend shape for that object. The problem is that we're deleting the construction history, and when we delete the construction history, it pops back to its default pose from the wrap deformer. So what we can do is do mc.duplicate, and we're going to duplicate the new blend object. And then let's say, we'll call it dupe for right now. And then now that we've duplicated the new blend, what we're going to say is that we want to delete the original new blend. So we're going to say mc.delete new blend. And then after we've deleted it, we want to, just so that the rest of the code works, rename this as NewBlend. So what we're going to say is actually, let's just rename it first. mc.rename dupe at index level 0 with new blend name. So now we have the correct name there, and then let's just say new blend is equal to whatever this is. So we'll say new blend name is equal to whatever this is, and then new blend is equal to new blend name. So it's a little bit roundabout, but we're basically duplicating the object, renaming it back to the original object's name, and then setting the variable to that new object. So let us run this with the proper selection and see if this works. So we did get an error. It says new blend name not defined, and that is because of my casing. Let us reset this. Got to bring the 0 here, and here we can see I have a capital N, and it should be a lowercase n. And run this. There we go. We have both of these objects, but we can see that it looks like the left-hand side. So just want to make sure that the history is cleared. It is. Okay. So we basically need to take the scale, copy it from here, and paste it before we move it. And I'm going to scale it -1. Actually, I'm going to put it to 1. There we go. So let us 1, 2, 3. Okay. Run this. And now we have the mirrored blend shapes. Let's test to see if they work. And let's assign a blend shape. It's on the deform blend shape. So we have both the left and right assigned to it now. So the left should have no issue. That's what we had before. And then let's look at the right. The right is working properly now. So we have both the left and the right, and we can create a full face there. Okay, so let's zero this out and clear this. So another thing that you might want to do is have both of them combined, and we can pretty easily do that. Okay, so let's start here. We're going to create the mirrored with original, and this is going to be the mirrored version. Okay, so the mirrored with original here. Basically what we're going to want to do is, once we have both of these blend shapes created and we've cleared it, we're going to assign the new one and the old one to here, create the blend shape, and then duplicate it off. So we don't need to do any wrapping or anything like that. We just need to duplicate the original head. So let's go ahead and we're going to create a blend shape here. So we're creating the blend shape with the default, the base head right here. The item is going to be the item set for the blend shape, and then we also need the new blend. So comma new blend. Okay, and then now once we've done that, we can set the attributes for that. So let's see. We don't need to create a wrap. Here we go. So we're going to set the blend to 1 for the original object, and we are going to set NewBlend to 1. So let's just test this out at this stage so that you guys can see what's happening. I have an error at line 17. So let's look at the base head and see if we have it working. Let's see, line 17. Oh, it's trying to create the blend again. So let's see if we can, there we go. Okay, so let's delete the history. I don't really want to delete the history on this object yet. So let's just move forward, because the problem is that there's a conflict on the name for the blend shape once we've created the first one. So let's just go ahead and move this forward to the next thing. So once we've done that, we're going to duplicate the base head. So I'm just copying the duplicate, but instead of NewBlend, we're actually going to copy the base head. And it's okay, we can set that to the duplicated object. Then we need to set both of these back to 0. It's going to be 0 and 0. And then we are going to delete the history on the original object. Then let's move the count -10, or -20, actually. Let's do this, instead of on the Z, we'll do the Y. There we go. So it's going to put these blend shapes down in a row this way so that we can see the separation. Okay, let's test this. So 1, 2, 3, run the code. So this is not doing exactly what I want. Let's see. There's one, and then there's a base body over here. That one worked. So the first one worked, and then there's issues after that. So let's take a look at how we can update it. In here we can see that there is a frown here. And is this the smile? Looks like there's something there, but the frown, which is, I think, if I went like this, it should have been the first one. So that one worked properly. The smile, we are not getting the smile properly. So let's take a look at what we can do. Here, for the movement, what we need to move is the dupe index level 0. That's why it was moving in a weird way. So let's try this now. Okay, there's the frown. So it did work, it's just not as pronounced. Maybe we can exaggerate the frown more in the future. Looks like the spacing might be a little bit much for this one, so I'm going to try moving it 10 units down. Actually, we can test that. Where do we want it? So right now it is at 40. Oh, so maybe we want it more. It's somewhere around here. And that's going to be at 30, but we need to do it before we increment the count number. Okay, so this is going to be -30. And this count increment, we're going to push it all the way to the end. Okay, just testing this one more time. We have to go 1, 2, 3. Test this. Cool. This all looks like it's working. The only thing is that we need to come up with a name for this, because this is going to be centered. So let us do that. So we have over here where we are renaming the object. So what we can do, actually we'll copy both of these, because that's what we're going to be doing. So NewBlend name is going to be the duplicated 0 with NewBlend name. NewBlend is going to be equal to this. And where are we defining NewBlend name? Oh, no. NewBlend name over here. So let's copy that there and put it here. So we're going to search for L, but this time we're going to replace it with C. And then we are going to rename the duplicated object to the NewBlend name. NewBlend is going to be equal to NewBlend name, and then here we are just going to set the attributes on NewBlend, which is the object that we created here. Actually, I think that's just an extra line in this case compared to the previous command. So I'm just going to do NewBlend name here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Run this. Let's see if we get the center controls. So center, that looks great. And center, that looks great. So we have the left side, the right side, and the centered names for each one of these objects. That is good. That is all we need to be able to achieve the blend shapes. You can obviously add a UI to this, which would be helpful. So that way you can say where you want to duplicate it. And right now we're forcing it to be the left side and going to the right side. But if you have a UI, you can designate with a variable what each one of these are, 1 and 2. And then you can also say, separate this into functions or condition statements and set it up so that you only do the mirrored version, or you only do the mirrored with original version, or you can have it do both. So if you guys are interested in that in the future, let me know in the comments. I can build a UI for it. But for right now, this is where I'm leaving it, so that way you guys know how to mirror your blend shapes. One last run so that you can see it. There we go. We should get all of the blend shapes that we got. Yay. Left, right, centered. All right. That is it for this video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.